Hey y'all, insight number 3. We're in Genesis 45, verse 8 for this one. This is where we see again Christ's hand, or God's hand, entering in when the impossible, if we go back to Joseph being thrown in a pit, his brothers hating on him and selling him off as a slave. These things were meant to come to pass. And there is no way from that point of being sold off to a slave that we can see what the end is going to be and how it's actually going to end up protecting the entire family, some 70 people, and how they then get to prosper and create a great nation within Egypt, which leads to them being under a different pharaoh and becoming slaves, and then Moses rescues them. But again, when the impossible just shows up and you cannot see a way, remember, but God. And this is what it says in here. And it's a very favourite phrase of many people. But I love this one too. So, 45:8. God provides even when it seems impossible. Probably especially when it seems impossible. And also, Joseph's recognizing here that the trials he went through caused this great deliverance and taught him all the things he needed to know to be able to be in a position to save his family. He realized that, and I'm going to cover that more in the 5th insight, so if you want to know more about that, hang around. But anyway, so verse 8. So now it was not you that sent me hither, but God. So even though the brothers had conspired to do this, Joseph's saying it was God's way of doing it. It's okay. I'm not angry about it. It was God's way. But God. Doesn't say anything else. Just but God. That's it. And he hath made me a father to Pharaoh, and lord of all his house, and a ruler throughout all the land of Egypt. And it's him welcoming them back in, saying, this is when he's revealing himself. I am Joseph. Joseph isn't dead. I am Joseph. Because he's going to look different, right? The Hebrew people would have been bearded. Joseph's now Egyptian looking. Probably got a good tan because he's been hanging out in the sun. Probably wearing the Egyptian makeup. So he's going to look different. Plus he grew older, obviously. So they didn't recognize him, Maybe he was even starting to go grey. Who knows? Might have had one of them, Egyptian looking hat things on. Who knows, right? We don't know. So he says to them then, and we'll talk about that in the next one as well, about don't haste, go get the family, bring them in. I'll give you all the supplies. You're welcome here. I've got a place for you already. I think he'd been preparing that from the first time they showed up asking for food. He's like, oh my gosh, my family's out there. I can have them back. So this is him saying, I know that this was God's way of allowing all of this to happen. And this is meant to happen. So yeah, God provides even when it seems impossible. But God, that's all you got to say when you just cannot see it. A promise of fulfillment of the seemingly impossible. We need faith beyond mortal eyes. This is so very hard when we're in the pit or the prison. Yet, but God. With God, all things are possible. When you feel like all is lost, remember whose side you're on, because Christ and God are on your side. More Jesus? Yeah. Also remember, but God. So when it's seeming impossible, you can call more Jesus. I need more soul resting, aloe vera cleansing to my soul. More Jesus. I need more help. But when the impossible just isn't happening for you, and yet you know it's been promised, just remember, but God. He will enter in. It just might not be when you think it might be, or it might not look like you think it might look. Right now we've got problems worldwide problems, not just with COVID, but with Russia, sadly, and I've been following this too. And I know a lot of people have spoken about it, but Russia sadly invading Ukraine and the tragedy of all that. And while people are dying and while people are now refugees, there's so much goodness in there if you just look. And yes, it's a terrible thing, but men have their own choices. Putin's not good. Not at all. However, the people, the masses of people around the world in the different countries that are welcoming these refugees, even as far away as here in New Zealand, there's been help where people here know family over there who have sent them to pick up people and say go and help them because they've got a family. It's the thing. So like there was this lady here who said, my mother's packed up her house and locked up and got out on the train. She's going to be at this train station, but she's got nowhere to go. There's another lady here who says, oh, my sister lives in that town, and contacted her sister and said, this is the lady's name, go pick her up from the train station. So these two women in New Zealand who never knew each other, who are from different countries and speak different languages, because one of them is Russian and one of them speaks Slovakian, were able to help each other with their families so far away across the other side of the world. There are all kinds of miracles like that. If you but look, and this is when you say, but God, the seemingly impossible will become possible if you remember, but God. And it just is not going to always look like you think it might look. So be open to but God. Because if you're open to looking, you'll see it. As sad as everything can be, right? There's so much goodness still in the world. I picked a quote here from Sister Holland. While she's not one of our leaders per se, she is the wife of Elder Holland, and she's also very wise. So let's go with her quote. She said, I have discovered that the Lord's no's are preludes to even greater yeses. And that is so true. The number of times I've been told no from the Lord, and I've been severely disappointed. And yet, the greater yes is around the corner. It always comes. When you look back, it always comes. Sometimes not for many, many years. Sometimes it takes like 30, 40 years. And it's frustrating in that time, but it does come. So hold on to that and really look for that this week in this reading. But God is in more than one place. So enjoy that, and I love that phrase too. Hang around for the fourth one. It's going to be good.